We tell stories of human. Way, not with artificial voices or AI slop. In the end, what's HFY without? Humanity? Subscribe to keep it this way. My name is Amir Sohal. Let's begin. The sky above the battlefield was no longer blue. It was dark and full of smoke. Burning ships fell from the air, leaving lines of fire behind them. Loud explosions shook the ground again and again. Commander Ralvek stood on a high ridge and watched everything. This was his first real war, his first mission outside training, his first time fighting humans. But something felt strange. This is my first war, he told himself. Yet his hands were steady. His heart was calm. The fear inside him felt old, like he had felt it before. Behind him, a young soldier spoke with fear. "Commander, the humans are not retreating." Ralvek kept looking at the battlefield. Small human figures moved through the smoke. They were outnumbered. Their lines were broken, but they were still fighting. "They should surrender," the soldier said. "They cannot win." Ralvek slowly replied, "Yes, they should." But they did not. A loud blast at the ground. Dirt flew into the air. Ralvek stepped forward and focused. Through the smoke, he saw a human soldier fall hard. His weapon slipped from his hand. For a second, everything was still. Then the human moved. Slowly, with pain, he reached for his weapon again. Ralvek frowned. The man was badly injured. He should not be able to stand. But he pushed himself up. His body was shaking. Blood covered his uniform. Still, his eyes were strong. "He is going to die," the young soldier whispered. Ralvek nodded. "Yes." But inside, something did not agree. The human picked up his weapon and fired again, not in panic, not in fear. Each shot was careful. He was not fighting to live. He was fighting for something else. Ralvek felt a cold feeling move through him. Why, he thought. Why keep fighting? More humans came through the smoke. They helped each other. They carried the injured. They protected one another. They moved like one unit. No fear. No hesitation. It was not normal. "Commander!" A voice came through the comms. "We are receiving a signal." Ralvek turned slightly. "Report." "It is from the human side." The voice said, "A distress signal. It is repeating." Ralvek felt that strange feeling again. "Play it," he ordered. There was a short pause. Then a human voice came through. Weak, tired, but clear. "This is Unit 7, requesting backup. Anyone please?" The message repeated again. Ralvek went silent. That voice! It felt familiar. Too familiar. He quickly pushed the thought away. "This is my first war," he told himself again. But the voice stayed in his mind. Below, the battle grew worse. Humans were losing ground. Their lines were breaking. Still, the signal continued. "Requesting backup, anyone?" Ralvek asked. "Do they have any support coming?" "No, Commander," an officer replied. "Their fleet is destroyed." "Then why send the signal?" Another asked. Ralvek had no answer. If no one was coming, why ask for help? He looked back at the battlefield. The injured human was still there, still fighting. His movements were slow now, but he did not stop. Suddenly, a blast hit near him. Smoke covered the area. When it cleared, the human was gone. Ralvek felt something strange, a small sense of loss. He frowned. "That is not possible," he thought. "I do not know him." But it felt like he did. The signal continued, requesting backup. "Commander," the comm said, "we are advancing. Humans are falling back." Ralvek nodded slowly. Understood. This should feel like victory. But it did not. Instead, something felt wrong. "Commander," the young soldier asked, "should we move forward?" Ralvek stepped ahead, then stopped. He saw something. Movement in the distance. Through the smoke, a small group of humans stood close together. They were protecting something. Ralvek zoomed his visor. It was a communication device. Broken, damaged, and next to it, a human soldier. Injured, speaking into it. "This is Unit 7 requesting backup." Ralvek's breath slowed. It was him. The same voice. The same soldier. Still alive. "How?" the soldier behind him whispered. The human coughed. His hands were shaking as he held the device. He had to know no one was coming. Still, he kept sending the message. Why? Ralvek felt something move inside his mind. A memory, very weak. Another battlefield. Another voice calling for help. He stepped back suddenly. No, that is not real, he said quietly. But the feeling stayed. Below, enemy troops moved closer to the human. The soldier saw them. He knew it was the end. Still he spoke again, requesting backup. His voice was very weak now. Ralvek felt pressure in his chest. Why? He thought again. Then a thought came to him. They believe someone will come. Ralvek's eyes opened wider. Hope, even at the end. He had never seen this before. The human's hand slipped. The device fell. The signal stopped. Silence. Then slowly, the human tried again. His fingers moved weakly, but he did not give up. Ralvek stepped forward without thinking. Commander, the soldier called. Ralvek did not answer. He was watching the human. The signal came back. Broken. Anyone. That word stayed in Ralvek's mind. Anyone. Not command. Not a unit. Anyone. It was more than a call. It was a message. A refusal to stop. Ralvek felt something new. Respect. And fear. Because if humans could fight like this, believe like this, then this war was not simple. The human finally fell still. The signal ended. The battlefield became quiet for a moment. Ralvek stood without moving. This is my first war, he thought again. But now he was not sure, because deep inside it felt like he had heard that call before, long ago, in another war, against the same humans. And for the first time, Ralvek started to question everything. Everything he knew about humans, and everything about this war. The battlefield was quiet now, not completely silent, but quieter than before. The explosions had slowed. The smoke still filled the air, but the fighting had moved further ahead. Commander Ralvek did not move. His eyes were still fixed on the place where the human soldier had fallen. Anyone? That last word was still echoing in his mind. Commander? The young soldier spoke again, more carefully this time. Orders. Ralvek blinked slowly, as if waking from a dream. Yes, move forward, he said, but his voice was different now. Lower. Heavier. The troops began to advance down the ridge. Step by step, they moved into the broken battlefield. Burned machines, destroyed weapons, and lifeless bodies covered the ground. Ralvek walked ahead of them. Something was pulling him forward. Something he could not explain. As they got closer, he saw it again. The human soldier, lying on the ground. Still, the broken communication device was next to him. No signal now. No voice. Just silence. Ralvek stopped a few steps away. Scan the area, he ordered quietly. Yes, Commander. The soldier spread out, checking for movement. But there was nothing. No traps. No hidden enemies. Just the remains of a lost battle. Ralvek slowly walked closer to the human. For a moment, he simply looked at him. The face was calm now. No fear. No panic. Just stillness. Ralvek felt that strange feeling again. Not fear. Not anger. Something else. Respect. He did not understand it. This is the enemy, he reminded himself. But the words felt weak. Commander, one of the officers said, we should leave. The front line is moving. Ralvek did not respond. His eyes moved to the communication device. It was damaged badly. Burn marks covered surface. Parts of it were broken. Still it had worked. Still, the human kept using it. Ralvek bent down slowly and picked it up. Commander? The young soldier sounded confused. Ralvek ignored him. He looked at the device carefully. Unit 7. The words appeared faintly on the small screen. Unit 7. A small unit. Probably left behind. Probably forgotten. Ralvek felt something shift again in his mind. A flash. Quick. Sharp. Another battlefield. Another voice. Unit 3, requesting support. Ralvek suddenly stepped back. The device almost fell from his hand. No, he whispered. The young soldier moved closer. Commander, are you all right? Ralvek turned away. I am fine. But he was not. His mind was not calm anymore. That voice, that Memory. It felt real. Too real. Collect all human data from this area. Ralvek ordered quickly. Weapons, devices, anything. Yes, Commander. The soldiers began to gather items. Ralvek looked back one last time at the fallen human. Unit 7, he said quietly. Then he turned and walked away. Later, inside the command ship, Ralvek stood alone in a dark room. The communication device was on the table in front of him. He had cleaned it, repaired some parts. Not completely, but enough. The screen flickered weakly. Ralvek stared at it. Why did this matter? Why did one human, one signal, affect him so much? He did not know, but he needed answers. He pressed a control. The device made a soft sound. Then a voice. This is Unit 7 requesting backup. Ralvek closed his eyes. There was again the same voice. Weak, but full of something strong. Hope. He played it again. And again. Each time, the same words. The same tone. No change. No fear. Ralvek opened his eyes slowly. Why do they do this? He asked himself. They know no one is coming. The door behind him opened. An officer entered. Commander! The next phase of the attack is ready. Ralvek did not turn. Wait! The officer paused. Commander? Ralvek finally turned around. Tell me, he said, how many wars have we had with humans? The officer looked confused. This is the first major contact war, Commander. Ralvek stared at him. First, he repeated. Yes, that is what the records say. Ralvek looked back at the device. Records, data, information. Everything said this was the first war. So why did it feel like it was not? Leave me, Ralvek said. The officer hesitated, then nodded. Yes, Commander. The door closed. Ralvek was alone again. He activated the main system. Access war archives, he said. Access granted. Search humans. Searching. A moment passed. Result. Limited data. Ralvek frowned. Limited, he said. That was not normal. For an enemy like this, there should be more. Much more. Show all records. Access restricted. Ralvek's eyes narrowed. Override. Commander access. Override accepted. The screen changed. New files appeared. Old files. Hidden files. Ralvek stepped closer. This, he whispered. There were records. Many records. Wars. Battles. Encounters. Different locations. Different times. But one thing was the same. Humans. Always humans. Ralvek's breathing slowed. This is not the first war, he said quietly. The truth was there. Hidden. Locked away. His species had fought humans before. Many times. And every time, the same result. Heavy losses. Retreat. Failure. Ralvek felt a cold wave pass through him. Why hide this, he asked. Then he saw it. A final file. Marked clearly. Memory suppression protocol. Ralvek's hand froze. Slowly, he opened it. The information appeared. Simple. Clear. Terrifying. After every war with humans, surviving soldiers had their memories altered, removed, erased, so they would not remember, so they would not fear. Ralvek stepped back slowly. No, he whispered. Now it made sense. The feeling, the memories, the voice. He had been here before. He had fought humans before, and he had lost. We erased it, he said. We erased everything. Ralvek looked at the communication device again, requesting backup. The human had no backup, no support, no hope of survival. And still, he called, not because he believed help would come, but because he refused to stop. Ralvek felt something change inside him. Humans were not just soldiers. They were something else, something dangerous, because they remembered, even when they lost. Even when everything was taken from them, they kept going. Ralvek looked at his own reflection in the dark screen. We forgot, he said quietly. We chose to forget. Outside, the war continued. But now, Ralvek understood something important. This was not just a battle. This was a cycle. And humans, they never truly lost. Because every war made them stronger, and every enemy who forgot was doomed to fight them again. Ralvek picked up the device one more time. Anyone? The word felt different now. Stronger. Deeper. He turned toward the door. His decision was not clear yet, but one thing was certain. This war was not what it seemed, and humans were far more dangerous than anyone had ever believed. The war did not slow down. It became worse. The sky was filled with fire again. Loud blasts shook the ground. Ships crashed, and the air burned with heat and smoke. Commander Ralvek stood inside the command ship, but his mind was not there. It was still with the human voice. Anyone? He looked at the screen again. Hidden files still glowed in front of him. Old wars, old defeats, erased memories, and one truth. This is not the first time, he said quietly. Suddenly, the alarm rang. Commander! An officer shouted. Human forces are pushing back. Ralvek turned quickly. That is not possible. They are attacking from multiple sides, the officer said. Their numbers are low, but they are not stopping. Ralvek stepped forward. Show me. The main screen changed. The battlefield appeared. And what he saw, it was different. Humans were not retreating anymore. They were advancing. Fast. Strong. Fearless. They were losing, Ralvek whispered. Yes, Commander, the officer said. But now, they're fighting like they cannot be stopped. Ralvek's eyes narrowed. No, he said slowly. They were always like this. On the battlefield, chaos had returned. But now, it had changed direction. A small human squad moved through the smoke. Their armor was damaged. Their bodies were tired. But their eyes were alive. Focused. Move. Move, one of them shouted. They ran forward under heavy fire. Shots hit around them. One soldier fell. Leave me, the fallen soldier shouted. No one gets left, another replied. He turned back, grabbed his teammate, and pulled him up. They moved together. Always together. Ralvek watched this closely. They risk everything for each other, he said. Another officer spoke, confused. That is weakness. Ralvek shook his head slowly. No, that is strength. Explosions hit near the human squad. One of them was thrown back hard. He hit the ground and did not move. The others stopped. For a second, just 1 second. Then one soldier ran back. He dropped his weapon. He lifted his fallen teammate. Shots fired around him. Danger everywhere. But he did not stop. He carried him. Step by step. Ralvek felt his chest tighten. Why? He asked again. They will both die. But they did not stop. Another part of the battlefield. Human forces were surrounded. Enemy troops closed in from all sides. No escape, an officer said confidently. Ralvek did not answer. He kept watching. A human commander stood in the center. His armor was broken. His face was covered in dirt and blood. He looked at his soldiers. Then he spoke. Ralvek could not hear the words, but he saw their reaction. They stood straighter, stronger, ready. Then they charged, straight into danger. No, the officer whispered. This is suicide. Ralvek's voice was quiet. No, this is something else. The humans crashed into enemy lines. Close combat. Fast. Brutal. They did not hold back. They did not slow down. They fought like every second mattered. Like every action had meaning. Ralvek watched carefully. He saw something new. Something dangerous. They were not fighting to win. They were fighting to protect each other. Every move. Every risk. Every sacrifice. It was not random. It was a choice. Commander! Another voice called. We are losing ground. Ralvek did not look away. Why? He asked. They are stronger than expected, the officer said. They adapt too fast. Ralvek nodded slowly. Yes, they learn. On the battlefield, a loud explosion shook the area. A human vehicle was hit. It burned quickly. Inside, soldiers were trapped. One human ran toward it. No, someone shouted. But he did not stop. The fire grew stronger. Heat filled the air. Still, he ran. He reached the vehicle. He forced the door open. Smoke poured out. He pulled one soldier out, then another, then another. His hands burned, his armor melted, but he did not stop. Finally, he collapsed. The others were alive. Ralvek stared in silence. He saved them, he said, and died. No one answered, because there was no answer. Ralvek felt something change inside him again. Not confusion, not fear, understanding. They are not afraid of death, he said quietly. They are afraid of losing each other. The battle grew even more intense. Human forces pushed deeper, even with fewer numbers, even with heavy losses. They kept moving forward. Ralvek spoke slowly. This is why we lost before. The officers looked at him. Commander? Ralvek finally turned to them. We fight to win, he said. They fight for something else. Another screen showed a different battle zone. A small human group was trapped. No escape, no support. Enemy forces closing in. One of the humans activated something. A device. Ralvek's eyes widened. No, he said. The device began to glow. High energy. Dangerous. Commander? The officer asked. Ralvek spoke quickly. They are going to destroy the area. But their own soldiers. They know, Ralvek said. On the battlefield, the human looked at his team. They understood. No fear. No panic. Just silent agreement. One of them smiled. A small smile. Then they all moved back. Except one. He stayed, holding the device. Counting down. Ralvek felt his chest grow heavy. He is staying behind, he said. Yes, the officer whispered. To stop us. The explosion came seconds later. Bright, massive. Everything disappeared in light. When it cleared, nothing was left. No humans. No enemy troops. Just silence. Ralvek closed his eyes for a moment. They chose this, he said. They chose to protect others, even if it cost everything. The room was quiet. No one spoke. No one moved. Because now, they all understood. Humans were not weak. They were not simple. They were something else. Something more. Ralvek opened his eyes again. This is not just war, he said. This is human fury. He looked at the battlefield one last time. Humans were still fighting, still moving forward, still refusing to stop, even after everything, even after losing so much. Ralvek spoke one final time. Soft, but clear. We did not understand them. We thought they were like us. He paused, then said, but they are not. Far away, another human voice came through a broken signal. Weak, but still alive. We are still here. Ralvek heard it. And this time, he understood. The war was almost over. But it did not feel like victory. The battlefield was quiet again. Smoke still moved slowly in the air. Broken machines and fallen soldiers covered the ground. Commander Ralvek stood in silence. Humans had stopped advancing, not because they were defeated, but because there was nothing left to destroy. Ralvek looked at the reports in front of him. Heavy losses, on both sides. But something was different, very different. Commander, an officer said slowly, We are not winning. Ralvek did not react. I know, he said. The officer hesitated. Should we prepare for full retreat? Ralvek closed his eyes for a moment. Retreat. The word felt familiar. Too familiar. Yes, he said quietly. Prepare it. Inside the command ship, the atmosphere was heavy. No one spoke loudly. No one celebrated. Because this was not victory. This was survival. Ralvek walked alone again. His steps were slow. His mind was full. The hidden records. The erased memories. The human voices. Anyone. We are still here. All of it came together now. He stopped in front of the main system. Open Final Archive, he ordered. Access granted. A new file appeared, older than the others, marked as First Contact, Humans. Ralvek's breath slowed. This is where it started, he said. He opened the file. The screen showed an old battlefield. Different planet, different time, but the same chaos, the same fire, the same humans. Ralvek watched closely. Alien forces, his species, were strong, confident, just like now. The humans were fewer, weaker, just like now. And yet, the result was the same. Loss, failure, retreat. Ralvek's hands tightened. We have done this before, he whispered. The recording continued. A human commander stood in the middle of destruction. He was injured, tired, but standing. He spoke to the alien forces. The audio was damaged, but some words were clear. You can win battles, but we do not stop. We remember. Ralvek felt a sharp pain in his head. A memory tried to break through. Strong, violent. He stepped back, holding his head. I remember, he said. Images flashed. Fast. Broken. War. Fire. Human faces. Voices calling for help. And then, darkness. Erased. Ralvek fell to one knee. They removed it, he said. They removed everything. The system continued. A final message appeared in the archive from his own species. A command. Cold. Simple. After every engagement with humans, memory wipe is required. Reason. Psychological damage. Ralvek looked up slowly. Psychological damage, he repeated. Not physical. Not tactical. Mental. Because humans did something no other species did. They stayed. They fought. They remembered. Ralvek stood up slowly. Now everything was clear. The strange feeling. The familiar fear. The voice. He had been here before. He had heard that call before. Anyone. It was not just one soldier. It was all of them. Every war. Every time. Suddenly, an alarm sounded. Commander! An officer shouted. Human forces are approaching the main zone. Ralvek turned. They are attacking again? The officer asked in shock. But the war is over. Ralvek shook his head slowly. No, for them, it is never over. The main screen activated. Humans were moving forward again. Slowly, carefully, not in rage, not in chaos, but with purpose. They are not here to destroy us, the officer said. Ralvek watched closely. No, they are here to finish it. A small human group moved to the center of the battlefield. They raised a signal. Not a weapon. A signal. Ralvek frowned. What is that? The system translated it. A simple message. Clear. We will not chase you. We will not destroy you. But remember this. Ralvek felt his chest tighten. The message continued. We do not forget. Silence filled the room. No one spoke, because now they understood. This was not a threat. This was a warning. Ralvek stepped forward. They are letting us leave. An officer said. Yes, Ralvek replied. But they want something in return. What? Ralvek looked at the screen. They want us to remember. The officer looked confused. Why? Ralvek answered slowly. Because that is their power. He turned away from the screen. His voice was calm now. Clear. No memory wipe, he said. The room froze. Commander? The officer said in shock. That is against protocol. Ralvek looked at him. I know, but the psychological risk. Ralvek interrupted. That is exactly the point. He walked toward the center of the room. We erased our fear, he said. We erased our losses. We erased the truth. He paused. And that is why we keep losing. The officers stayed silent. No one argued now, because deep inside, they knew it was true. Ralvek looked back at the battlefield one last time. Humans stood there, watching, not chasing, not attacking, just waiting. He spoke quietly. We feared their weapons. He paused, then finished. But we should have feared their memory. The retreat began. Ships moved back. For the first time, not in panic, but in understanding. As Ralvek left the battlefield, he heard one last signal. Faint, broken, but alive. We are still here. He closed his eyes. Yes, he said softly. I know. Years later, the war was studied, analyzed, recorded. But this time, nothing was erased. New soldiers were trained, not to forget, but to understand. And one message was always shown to them. A human voice. Old, weak, but unbroken. Requesting backup anyone. The lesson was simple, clear, and impossible to ignore. Humans may fall. They may lose battles. They may stand alone. But they never stop. They never forget. And that is why they always return. Final line, powerful ending. This was not their first war, and it will never be their last. Fire. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this content, make sure to subscribe to the channel and support us. It really helps us grow and bring more videos like this. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.